My name's Nate and this is Heavy Pedal Garage. This time we're going to work on this hood, get the bottom of it all taken care of. There's just a few spots that we need to work over. You know, where we worked on the fins, there'll be a little bit of work to do to get that filled in. I had to cut this support down a little bit to get the hood to close. So we're going to get that cleaned up, both sides. So I got this front edge I got to figure out what to do. It's kind of cracked and broken in a few spots. So I think what I'm going to do is just take my sander and kind of bring this all down just a little bit. So I got the edges all sanded down. I think we got this about where I want it. And the next step, I'm just going to take some fiberglass filler, and where I had built up the edge, you can see here I just have some little imperfections, some little divots. So we're going to go ahead and take care of that. And then the next thing we're going to do is get some fiberglass matting and cloth and resin and kind of clean up some of these other boogered up areas. So fiberglass filler, fiberglass resin, cloth, and matting. Let's get it done. Quick tour here. In between coats of filler, I've been working on sanding around the edges and actually cleaned the inside here. There was some dirt and grime in there that we got all cleaned up. So I started to use my sanding disc on this, but decided I'd wait until right before I'm ready to primer it and paint it. Ready for fiberglass. Got my spots prepped up. This spot here and the one on the other side, I just put a little bit of notebook paper in there to provide some backing for it, and I'm just going to lay some matting and cloth in there to, you know, close up that open area. We'll add some fiberglass on the bottom side of this corner here, just to kind of firm it up and tie it into this underpiece. And then around the front side, I'm just going to take some masking tape and support that from the bottom and go ahead and fiberglass that in. And I'm pretty sure that that's about the extent of the fiberglass work I'm going to do. So I just wanted to let everybody know that there is a particular type of resin that you need to use, and it has to be specific to the sheet material compound that was used in these formula hoods. So if you are not familiar with fiberglass work and you're interested, you can't just go to, you know, your auto body store and buy the resin fiberglass kit off the shelf. You got to do the special stuff for this material composite. So go back to my previous video. I'll put a link up in the top there, and we talk all about the differences in matting and cloth and the different types of resins. So definitely check that out if you're interested in doing some fiberglass work on these hoods. I tried to put a bunch of good information in there. Okay, we're going to start small here. Come a little measuring cup. We're going to start with 1 ounce. And then the instructions call for 1 inch to 1.5 inches. So it's just cream hardener, just like in your filler. Okay, and then we're just going to mix it up. It always amazes me how rough this fiberglass stuff looks when you first put it on, but once it sands down, it's great. So this is kind of where we ended up. Still a little tacky, so I'm just going to go ahead and let it dry, let it harden, and then we'll get in on after it with the sander and see where we are. So here we go. I'm pretty happy with the fiberglass. Not going to add any more. We're just going to put a layer of fiberglass body filler over it, just to kind of fill in some of these little imperfections. Use the fiberglass for just a little more support. I did get a little blow through right there, but I'm not too worried about it. We'll just pack it full of that filler. And then after that, might have to do a little skim of regular filler just to smooth it all out, but that's about as far as we're going to take all of that stuff. So I'll bring you back once that's all done. Another quick tour around the hood here. So I got this pretty close to where I want it. Good enough for primer. Should be alright. Coming on around here. This side smoothed up. Here's our little notch here. Smoothed up pretty good. And then of course, over here on the front, we had a little chip out where the scoop vent covers go in. That cleaned up good enough. And of course, in between coats of filler, I went ahead and worked on the inside here. And pretty much the last things that are left before primer and paint is that and that metal there and that metal there. I'm going to take my sanding disc to it and then we'll be about ready. Kind of pitted. This isn't really a show car, so I'm going to be driving it a lot, so I'm not too worried about this. It'll be on the underneath of the hood. You really won't be able to see it. But what I don't want is for that rust to come back through. So I'm going to show you guys an old trick. So to neutralize this rust, you need some kind of acid. You go to the store or order online, OSFO or some kind of rust neutralizer, but I'm going to go with the Old Faithful. It's not quite as strong as some of those others, but it has been proven to go ahead and work. So this is some full strength, and I'm just going to spray it on there a little bit at a time. Take my wire brush and just kind of work it into those divots. And once I'm all done, we'll let it set for a little bit. I'll wipe it up. And then after that, we'll neutralize it with a little bit of baking soda and water, which is a base to neutralize the acid. And then we'll be ready to get it all cleaned up for paint. Looking good. Got it all cleaned. Wiped it down a bunch of times. I just wanted to show you guys what I'm going to be using. So this is Rust-Oleum Farm and Implement paint. And I use this on my frame, I use this on my inner wheel wells and my core support, and I sprayed it out of my HVLP gun. And if you research this on the internet, you can find the ratios and you'll see some different information on what to do and what to use. But you buy this catalyst hardener, and you can use Rust-Oleum calls for acetone. But when I shot my frame, and other people you find on the internet will say that you can actually use a regular reducer. So that is what I'm going to do, since that worked for me before. But I got the low gloss black, and we're just going to shoot this out. So the ratio that's pretty common is 8 to 4 to 1. I've also seen 5 to 2 to 0.3, meaning 5 ounces to 2 ounces to 0.3 ounces. So that's close. if you break that out in ounces to a ratio of 8 to 4 to 1. So we're going to use our mixing cup here, and we're going to get it pretty close to that 8 to 4 to 1 ratio. Probably just double those numbers, do 16 to 8 to 2, and see where that takes us. So this is using that ratio. And you can see it stirs up pretty nice. Definitely the consistency of milk, so I think this is going to shoot out real well, thin to this consistency. And I can't wait to see how this turns out. Let us spray. So here we go. It is shiny, but this Rust-Oleum takes forever to dry, so it's still definitely tacky. But it turned out really good. There is surprisingly very little trash in there. I thought for sure with those vents in the openings that as soon as I sprayed on that, it was just going to shoot garbage everywhere. The only place that I found a sag is right in here, but you will never see that. So like I said, this Rust-Oleum, it shoots out pretty nice. So we're out here in the garage. It's the next day. Everything's flashed off and hardened up, and I think it turned out great. You can see that all that shine and sheen is now dulled down to a very nice satin flat black. Still very surprised at how clean this is. The only real issues that I had are a couple fish eyes in here, which I kind of am not surprised with it being the bottom of a hood. Maybe I could have used some more wax and grease remover and avoided some of those fish eyes, but it's the bottom of the hood, you'll never see it. And then all these little pock marks in here, those are actually little pock marks in the fiberglass itself. So I could have put some filler on that, but you know what, it's the bottom of a hood, it's going to be a driver, and I'm really happy with the flat black look here. So thanks again for stopping by Heavy Pedal Garage. Really appreciate each and every one of you. Go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, and catch me next time.